Welcome everybody back to the Friar Podcast and YouTube channel. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about Sean Manaea as he was just traded to the San Diego Padres in return for Yurbo Angeles, it might be Angeles, Angeles or Angeles, and Adrian Martinez. So going over the trade, we're going to quickly talk about Sean Manaea, talk about the prospects the Padres gave up, and then really get into what is the future with this Padres team. What does it look like? What extra moves are they going to be making this offseason before the 2022 year starts? But with that said, Chase, you want to get into a little bit about Sean Manaea because I know you like him a lot and you think he's going to be a fantastic starter.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Sean Manaea is a left-handed pitcher. He's a starter that came from the Oakland A's. He has been in the league for the past 6 years, and a couple years ago, but in 2018, he had his best year. He had a 3.59 ERA within 160 innings and a actually below average strikeouts per nine at 6, but he did throw a no-hitter that year. And he's kind of just been bouncing back and forth between that. A couple injuries throughout 2019 and 2020 that kind of really, you know, then he somewhat bounced back in 2021. He threw a lot of innings. That's what we need. He started 32 of 32 games. He had two shutouts, 179 innings, and an above average strikeout per nine, which is great. He usually sits in the low mid 90s with his fastball slash sinker. He throws a curveball and a changeup, and he kind of throws it from a sidearm angle. If you look at his career stats, he has a career 3.86 ERA, which is great. Um, I think he can do a little bit better with that, especially with Ruben Niebla. He can make some adjustments or do whatever he needs to do. And being back with his old manager, Bob Melvin, is going to make this an easy transition. I expect him to fill out maybe the fourth or fifth spot with it. And you know what? It's just an overall great addition. You didn't give up any. I mean, Martinez is an MLB ready prospect, but outside of that, you really didn't give up much depth. You got your pitcher, and Ellis was probably going to be blocked in the future because there's greater talent than him in the system. So overall, this was a really good move. I like Manaea a lot. I think he's going to do really good this year.
Yeah, and you look into this deal, I also agree with you. I think Sean Manaea can be a great fifth starter. Kind of reminds me of like adding a guy like that we've talked about a lot in Zach Davies, where he's going to put up good numbers, not like overpowering stuff necessarily, but he locates well. Manaea does not really walk anyone. He might not strike out a ton of guys or have like really like overpowering stuff, but he gets the job done. He hits his spots, and he's going to put up really solid games. He's also going to eat up a ton of innings. And if you're a fifth starter, fifth starter, and you have guys like Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, who have battled some injuries, Mike Clevenger that has battled some injuries, it's really big to bring in someone that can eat up all these innings. So I like the idea of bringing him in. Now, there are a couple concerns I have with the move. One concern is he's basically on a 1 year, $9.5 million deal. So you're paying him a good amount. We're going to get into what that means for this team right now, but you're paying him a good amount. And then also, you give up a guy in Adrian Martinez who's pretty much MLB ready. So the big question is you're kind of banking on having either 1 year of Sean Manaea being more valuable than having a handful because you have a bunch of control with Martinez, or you're planning on extending Manaea, which we don't know yet, but if that happens. So I guess that's my big question there is if Adrian Martinez goes on to have a really solid career, this might be a move that you don't really like. But for where the Padres are now, it's pretty obvious that they're going to have Manaea in as their fourth or fifth starter and that we should see some corresponding moves. I brought up the salary. I think that right now the Padres are over the luxury tax. So they're going to make a corresponding move, whether that be trading Chris Paddock. I mean, that seems like kind of the odd man out of this starting pitching room. Or moving Eric Hosmer's contract, which would probably be packaged. I mean, yesterday we saw the Hosmer stuff could easily be packaged with, Paddock, Campy, Hassel. I don't know what the deal would be, but maybe we see Hosmer move today. I feel like we've talked about Hosmer like a million times, so I don't really want to talk about him today in this deal, but I think that's kind of where they're at. So, Chase, how do you feel about the return that the Padres gave up? And what do you think about like kind of what their next corresponding moves would be?
So I don't think they gave up too much. I think it was perfectly fine. Honestly, I was kind of wondering what Manea's tag was going to be, considering what they gave up for Chris Bassett, and then I know Frankie Montas was also on the trade market for the A's because they're just selling, and it looks like they're just looking for guys to put a team together with. And Adrian Martinez is probably going to jump into that rotation right away, if not by mid-year, just because they're selling their pitching staff, and he's a good pitcher. He struggled a little bit in AAA, but I think he's going to be fine. Um, I don't think he's going to pitch better than Sean Manaea this year, so I think it was the right move on Hillis. Like I said, I think he was going to be blocked in the future, so I think they were expendable as much as I liked Adrian Martinez and wanted him to see him pitch, but I think he was expendable, and definitely someone's going to be moved. Whether it be Hosmer, whether it be Patrick, or I can't say that we're going to move Nick Martinez because we haven't seen enough from the guy, but I wouldn't put it past Preller to flip him right now. But it definitely looks like Paddock at least is going to be gone, which I do have problems with. I mean, we all kind of wanted to see Paddock bounce back from his kind of last couple of years. He showed glimpses that, hey, he's going to be this guy again. His curveball is to perform for him at a high level. His changeup fell behind last year, but now with the addition of Ruben Niebla, maybe he can get both pitches back working well together. And that just means with Paddock location, his fastball velocity, and all that, he arguably could have a career year this year. However, are we going to see that? I don't know. Because he also didn't strike out as many people as he did in 2019, but he was more efficient with his pitches last year. I mean, we remember the games where he was going into the sixth inning on like 60 pitches and he would get pulled. We're like, just let him throw the whole game at that point because our pitchers don't go deep into games. And here's Paddock being able to do that, and you take him out early. But I don't think Hosmer's gone. I don't, especially consider, we were giving up 3 MLB players just for Dominic Smith, and the Mets were like, wait, hold up. Yeah, I can't do it. Eric Hosmer's in this deal. So I don't think Eric Hosmer's gone. I do think Paddock is gone, and maybe Pagan, they might package them together and get maybe an outfielder, if not just cash.
Yeah, so we'll see what the corresponding move is. But I think that's kind of all we got here for Sean Monet. I just wanted to get quick thoughts out on him. Do really like the addition for this year. Like this year, it undeniably it's going to make this team a lot better. But I do kind of wonder, like, what do Adrian Martinez, what do Yuribel and Hellis's career end up becoming? That's the big question for the move. Also, I mean, it pushes them into the luxury tax. So who are you giving up? Who are you moving? What does Chris Paddock trade for? So a lot of pieces, I guess, to this move, and we haven't really seen them unfold yet. But hopefully we find out what these next corresponding moves are for the Padres today. I'm assuming you have to have a couple moves in the next few days here because season starts in 4 days now, getting really, really close. Really pumped about that. But the Padres have a really, really good rotation. We talked about in the past, they have one of the best rotations. We all said we think they're going to have a top 5 pitching staff. This makes them a lot better there. So I think it's even more likely that's the case. The lineup has some significant holes in it. So we're going to see, what happens with this lineup if they struggle really early on. Is the pitching staff able to, keep this team alive when Fernando Tatis is out? And do the Padres end up adding a corner outfielder? So those are the big questions there. But super pumped to see these guys. Having Manaea in as a 5th starter when you already have a ton of depth, it definitely helps the squad. So Padres going all in this year on their pitching staff, and love to see it after last year's kind of debacle with all the injuries they had there. So I think it's going to do it for this video, but we are going to be going live today at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Going to be talking a little bit more about Sean Monet. We'll have Isaac on as well. Going to be talking about AJ Preller and hopefully some other moves as well, and just kind of giving a quick, state of the Padres, going through this whole roster, but probably be live for like 30 minutes to an hour. So if you guys want to come and join, that'll be at 5 o'clock Pacific time today. So thank you guys all for listening. Love the move of Sean Manaea. Let us know what you think in the comments and come join us tonight for our live stream. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll talk to you then.